Hello friends, I am Shivaji Bhaskar, Faculty of Russian at the School of Foreign Languages, IGNOU. I welcome you all to this course, Basics of Russian Communication Skills, Part 1. As you remember that we have been discussing about various fundamentals of the Russian grammar and phonetics. We have covered a lot of new concepts right from the beginning as the Russian alphabet, words, word combinations, grammar such as verbs, their conjugation, as well as we have seen certain case system. In the case system, we have discussed about predložný padėž and we have seen how and when to use the questions like gdje and kuda, which means where and where to. So, as you know that in the previous modules we have discussed about verbs of motion. To take it further, we will be discussing about the verbs of motion in details in this text. So please pay attention to the text and let's find out how and when to use the verbs of motion as per the requirement of this particular text. So I'll start with the first line. Мой брат очень любит деревню. Там ему нравится чистый воздух, широкие поля, большие зеленые деревья. Деревня не так шумно, как в городе. Там все тихо и спокойно. Наша бабушка живет в деревне. Вот другая причина, почему брат любит ездить в деревню каждое лето. Now we'll go further. Here, with the help of the text, you will find certain words and expressions, word combinations where we are going to discuss about their usage in the text. So, we'll go back and pay attention to the text and discuss it. Please pay attention while I translate the text for you. Мой брат очень любит деревню. My brother loves very much village. So here we can see the construction любит, деревню. So after the usage of verb любить, any noun of the feminine gender which ends with ya changes into you. Like in this case, любить деревню, to love village. Мой брат очень любит деревню. My brother loves very much village. And likewise, you can also replace the noun with any other word. For example, я очень люблю свою страну. I love my country very much. Я люблю Индию. I love India. Я люблю индийскую культуру. I love Indian culture. Я люблю индийскую кухню. I love Indian cuisine. So these kind of examples you can also make by yourself by applying this particular rule of the Russian grammar. Now the next line is там ему нравится чистый воздух, широкие поля, большие зеленые деревья. So here we are talking about the village life. Why his brother likes village? Because там ему нравится, there he likes, чистый воздух, clean air, широкие поля, wide fields, большие зеленые деревья, tall green trees. So you can also use some of the nouns which we have used in our previous modules and place it in this text and see how you can also improve the text. So in place of чистый воздух you can use хороший воздух, широкие поля, большие поля, and большие зеленые деревья, высокие зеленые деревья, tall green trees. So big, in this sense we have used the tall, but большие means big green trees. Деревня не так шумно. In the village it is not that noisy. Шум means noise. Шумно, not noisy. Не шумно, не так шумно. So these are the expressions. В городе очень шумно. In city it's very noisy. No, but в деревне не так шумно. But in the village it is not that noisy. Как в городе, as we see or as we experience in the city. So как в городе, as in city. Там все тихо и спокойно. Там means in the village, все, everything is тихо, quiet и спокойно. So everything is quiet and peaceful and tranquil in the village. Наша бабушка живет в деревне. Наша бабушка, our grandmother, живет в деревне, lives in village. Вот другая причина. And there it is the reason, it is the second reason, почему брат любит, why brother loves, ездить, to go and come back, multi-direction, ездить в деревню каждое лето. That is why the expression каждое лето has been used to indicate the usage of the verb from the group 2. From ехать, ездить, we have used the ездить, which indicates multiple direction movement. So it is another reason why brother loves to go to village every summer. So this is about the text we have discussed, and now you have a fair idea that how in Russian we use certain expressions, words, verbs. With the help of, we can describe the village's life, and we can also compare it in a very brief manner with the life in the cities. So now we will discuss about certain words, combinations, expressions which we have seen in this text. So the first one is нравится. It's a verb which means to like. Мне нравится, I like. Жить в деревне. I like, live in the city. So you can also make your own questions and answers. Где ему нравится жить? Where does he like to live? Ему нравится жить в деревне. He likes to live in the village. Then the next one is чистый. So here we have used it with the ending и краткий, which means it is an adjective of masculine gender. You can club it with any other noun. Чистый воздух, чистый город. So чистый воздух, we already know, fresh, clean air. Чистый город, fresh, clean city. Then the third one is воздух, noun of the masculine gender. You can use чистый, нечистый. You can use плохое, хорошее. Воздух, хороший воздух, good air. Плохой воздух, bad air. Чистый воздух, fresh, clean air. So you can also make your own sentences. В горах бывает чистый воздух. In the hills or in the mountains we have clean, fresh air. So these kind of expressions, these kind of sentences you can also make. Then we have широкое поле. As we already know, поле, neuter gender word, which means field, and we have used the adjective широкое as per the agreement between the noun and the adjective. Широкое поле, wide field. Широкие улицы, wide streets. Широкая дорога, wide road. And you can make certain other sentences while using these kind of adjectives. Then the next one is shumna. Shumna means noisy. You can also make your own sentences while using shumna. Shumnaye место. Shumnaye место, noisy place. Shumni город, noisy city. Then the next one is спокойно. Спокойно means quiet. Спокойный человек, a quiet person. Спокойная жизнь, quiet life. So these kind of sentences you can also make while using the word спокойно. Then the next one is причина. Причина means reason. Какая причина? Почему он не приехал? What is the reason why he did not come? Он болен. He is ill. Поэтому он не приехал. That is why he could not come. So you can also make questions while using the причина. Then почему. Почему means why. So most oftenly you will always be using the question почему, because for asking any question you need to have the first word why. So почему ему нравится жить в деревне? Why does he like to live in cities? Потому что там спокойно, because it's quiet there. Почему? Потому что там чистый воздух, because потому что ему нравится чистый воздух в деревне, because he likes clean fresh air in the village. Likewise, you can also make many other questions based on почему. So I hope you understood the text well. We will be having more such text and we shall understand the meaning of глаголи движения. Now let's go back to the text and let's find such of the verbs which we have used here. The first verb we have used is любить. We already know любить means to love. So мой брат любит деревню. My brother loves деревню. First construction. Then the second verb is нравится. Ему нравится чистый воздух. Деревня. He loves or he likes clean air of the village. Then we have жить. The verb жить means to live. We have used the construction. Наша бабушка живет в деревне. Our grandmother lives in village. Моя семья живет в городе. My family lives in the city. Я живу в Дели. I live in Delhi. Мой брат живет в Америке. My brother lives in America. So these kind of questions you can make while using the same verb жить and conjugate as required. And then we have another verb ездить. Ездить. So in this we have used брат любит ездить в деревню каждое лето. Каждое лето мой брат ездит в деревню. Every summer my brother goes to village. So these kind of constructions, these kind of sentences you can make while using different kind of verbs. And in this particular text we have used different types of verbs. We have conjugated them as well, but at the end we have used one verb of motion, which is ездить, which means it indicates to and fro motion as well as multiple direction of the movement. That is why we have used the expression каждое лето. Okay, so I hope the concept is clear. Now let's go to some exercises. With the help of some examples, we will further define the usage of где and куда. As we already know, где means where, whereas куда means where to. So please pay attention to the examples. Он учится в школе. Он учится где? Он учится в школе. You can also replace школа with университет, but let's see what is the change. Он учится в университете. In this case it is он учится в школе. Now the next one is ya idu shkolu. Kuda ya idu. As per the rule of the Russian grammar, if any word of the feminine gender has the ending with a, it should be replaced with u. Like in the case of shkola, changes into shkolu when we are using the verb of motion ichi in a conjugated form of ya. Ya idu shkolu. Kuda ya idu shkolu. You can also replace shkola with auditoria. Ya idu auditoriu. Auditoriu, sanatoriu. So here you can also replace the word shkola with any other word like biblioteka. Ya idu biblioteku. Biblioteku. I am going to the library. So now the next one is on работает на заводе. Где он работает? Он работает на заводе. He works at the factory. So you can also replace it with фабрика if you wish. Он работает в фабрике. He works at the factory. Брат идет на завод. Куда брат идет? Брат идет на завод. So brother is going to the plant. So likewise, you can also make your own sentences, replace the nouns which we have used here, and as per the rule of the grammar, when and how do we use the ending in case of gijia or in case of kuda. Please remember that the masculine gender in case of gijia is replaced by ye if it is hard ending, and in case of feminine gender word, in case of gijia like shkola, it changes into shkole. Shkole. However, in case of verbs of motion, shkola changes into shkolu, whereas zavod remains zavod when we use any verbs of motion like ichi. Okay, I hope the concept is clear now. Let's go ahead and pay attention to the next. So here we are going to have a form of a very small dialogue. Please pay attention. Sergey, kuda ty idешь? Where are you going? Sergey, я иду в библиотеку. I am going to the library. So specifically we have used the verbs of motion идти and ходить. And the second one is ты часто ходишь в библиотеку? Do you go often to the library? Then Sergey is answering the. So here you can see that we have used идти and ходить both, where in the first case we have asked about a particular direction, куда ты идешь, whereas when in the second question we have used the expression часто, which indicates that only verbs from the group second, where we use ходить and ездить, can only be used, which actually determines or indicates to the movement to and fro or in multiple direction. So be very clear when and how to construct this kind of dialogue or sentences, and how to and when to use these verbs of motion. Alright, now let's go ahead. Here we have certain other such sentences with us. Let's pay attention. Inna Petrovna, куда вы идете летом? Летом мы едем на Черное море. Inna Petrovna, where are you going in the, where do you go in the summer? In summer we go to Black Sea, Черное море. Вы едете туда каждый год. So here we have the expression каждый год, which means we need to find the verb from the group 2. So we are using да, почти каждый год. Мы едем туда. So we can also use the verb ездить in a conjugated form of мы. Да, мы едем туда почти каждый год. So please remember, the case that deals with question kuda is not only used in the verbs of motion, but we also use it in a particular case from the case system of Russian is known as accusative case or vinichilny padyesh. So with the help of the text, we have just learned that how to use different kind of expressions with the help of verbs and verbs of motion. Now we will take it further and we will quickly talk about the usage of prefixes. So in the verbs of motion we have prefixes like v, vo, vi, pri and u. What does it actually mean? That v means towards entering and v means to exit. Pre means to arrive and u means to go away or to exit or to leave. So, let us see how do we use these prefixes in the verbs of motion. Let us go ahead and pay attention to the usage. So, as we know that pre with the verb of motion ichikaji signifies arrival, whereas the same verb with the prefix u signifies the movement in opposite direction or departure. Let us understand with a few examples. Here we have one sentence, Uchinik уже пришел в школу. Куда он пришел? Он пришел в школу. So, we have used this kind of construction that Uchinik уже, Uchinik means the student, the school children or the child who studies in the school, Uchinik, disciple, уже пришел в школу, is already arrived in the school. So, пришел is in the sense of arrived. However, the construction which we have used is prishol. Shol we already know is the past form singular for the masculine gender, uchinik, prishol, kuda shkolu. So, this kind of construction can make with the help of prefix. In this case, we have used pre. So, now let us go ahead and pay attention to a few more examples like уже поздно, ученик ушли домой, уже поздно, it's already late. Ученики, school children, ушли домой, they have gone home, they have left for home. So, in this case we have used the prefix u. Pre means to arrive, u means to leave. So, уже поздно, which means it is already late. So, we have understood this concept clearly. Now, we will go ahead and pay attention to the usage of v. V in positions where three consonants appear together, we use v and o, whereas we use only v to indicate entry. So, how do we use it? Let us see. Now, on dolga стоял в коридоре. On, he, dolga стоял, stood for a long time, в коридоре, in the corridor. Потом он вошел в аудиторию. Куда он вошел? Where did he enter? Where did he go? He go in the auditorium. So, we have clearly understood this as well, how and when to use the use of v and vo. Okay, now let us go ahead. Here the sentence is мы сидели дома и разговаривали, потом мы вышли на улицу. Мы сидели дома, we sat at home, и разговаривали and discussed and conversed. Потом and later мы вышли на улицу, we went out on the streets. So, here in this case we have used the prefix we. Okay, now let us go ahead and pay attention to the verb vaichi. So, however, it is the same ichi but with the prefix vo. So, conjugation will remain same as in the case of ichi. Я войду, ты войдешь, он она войдет, мы войдем, вы войдете, они войдут. And now we will discuss another verb of motion with the prefix. Now let us go ahead. It's выйти. So it means to go out in one direction. Я выйду, ты выйдешь, он она выйдет, мы выйдем, вы выйдете, они выйдут. So we have understood how do we use these two different concepts, v and v. V means to enter and v means to exit. That is why when you go to places where you will find signages in Russian, if it is enter, it would be входить. Вход means to enter, and likewise выйти, выход. Выход means to exit. Like in the cinema halls or in the restaurants or in the airplanes, wherever you go, you will find these kind of suggestions. Vkhod and vykhod means to enter or exit, simply like that. So, please pay attention to these important prefixes, because these are the prefixes which actually gives the identification to certain verbs and define their role in the construction of sentences, where we need to very clearly tell about the arrival or departure, entry or exit. So, we always use the prefixes and it makes the Russian conversation, Russian grammar, very rich and diverse. Okay, now we will go ahead. So, as in all verbs, in this we also have the past tense. So, for ya tui on singular we have vashol. Yesli, if we have ya tui ana, then vashla. If we have plural mui vui ani, then vashli. Like in the next case as well, if we go ahead and see that how do we use vichi. So, for vichi in past tense is ya ti on, we shall, whereas in case of ya ti ana is we shla, whereas in the case of mui, we and plural ani, it is we shli. So, like you have also seen that how the pronunciation of these verbs in a conjugated form in past tense is ya ti on, we shall, we shall, ya ti ana, we shla, and mui vui ani vushli. Okay, so I hope this vichi and vichi is clear to you. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the other verbs with prefixes like pri. So pri-ichi means to come one time. Я приду, ты придешь, он, она придет, мы придем, вы придете, они придут. So pri means to come. So it is a one direction, that is why ichi, prichi. Приходить means to come multi-direction. Okay. So now we will go to the next verb, uichi, which means to go away one time. Prichi, the opposite of prichi is uichi, to go away. Я уйду, ты уйдешь, она уйдет, мы уйдем, вы уйдете, они уйдут. And then we have some more verbs. Let's go ahead. Here we will conjugate them in past tense. For prichi we have prishol, for ya ti on, for ya ti ana it's prishla, for mui vi ani it's prishli. And same is the case in the uichi, on ya ti on ushol, ya ti ana then it's ushla. If we have mui vi ani in plural, then we have ushli. So prishol, ushol, prishla, ushla, prishli, ushli. Like this you can also make your own table and note them down in your notebook and try to understand what is the basic difference between these verbs, especially when we place a prefix, and then conjugate in the present form as well as in the past form, and try to make some sentences so that you have an absolute clarity about the usage and the meaning of these verbs with prefixes of the verbs of motion in Russian grammar. So now let's go ahead and pay attention to a few verbs. In this case we have khajij. So from first one we have used the verbs which has one direction to a particular direction to a particular movement. Now we are taking some verbs which indicates to and fro motion, repetitive motion as well as multiple direction movement. So we have the first one with us is khajij, means to enter. Я вхожу, ты входишь, он, она входит, мы входим, вы входите, они входят. Now let's go to the next verb. So before that, let's understand and learn the past form of this. Я, ты, он входил. Simple is the case because in past tense we need to only translate and only need to conjugate it. We only need to conjugate in the past tense as khajil singular, for yati ana khajila, whereas for plural mui vui ani khajili, ani khajili в театр. Каждый вечером они входили в театр. Они часто входили в театр. So these kind of sentences you can also make while using the conjugated form of khajij in past tense. Прошлый год он входил в театр. So these kind of sentences you can make with the help of khajij. So So now we will go ahead. Here we have vykhadzить, which means to go out. Я выхожу, ты выходишь, он, она выходит, мы выходим, вы выходите, они выходят. Now let's look at the conjugation in the past form. Я, ты, он выходил, я, ты, она выходила, мы, вы, они выходили. So I hope the concept is absolutely clear to you when and how to use the verbs of motion in group 1 and group 2 with prefixes like вы, pri and u, so that you can make your own sentences which are related to the verbs of motion. I hope you all enjoyed this module, and we will be discussing about it further in the upcoming modules, and we will discuss about the case system in details, and we have some exercises of the cases of the Russian grammar as well. Thank you.